The series finale of Dollhouse, Epitaph Two, begins where the previous Epitaph episode, Epitaph One, left off. Mag, Zone, and, for lack of a better designation, Caroline 2.0, are on their way to Safe Haven. Now, the Epitaph stories are essentially zombie stories. Sure, the Butchers are a little different from zombies, but it's essentially the same as The Walking Dead, with similar survival strategies and politics. Safe Haven is the most secure community, legendary among the survivors. And Caroline 2.0 leads her new friends to it while dodging Butchers, but they're soon captured. What she neglected to mention is that Safe Haven is right next to Neuropolis, what Tucson turned into when Rossum fortified it and turned it into a palace of depravity. Clive Ambrose is the current head of Rossum, and he's essentially Jabba the Hutt. He overindulges in pleasures, and he gorges on food while a woman in a bikini hangs around him. His original body is long gone, and he steals men's bodies willy-nilly, so he doesn't care about maintaining physical health. He orders a bunch of physically fit, wiped men to be displayed before him so that he can choose his next body. This whole thing is an extreme form of what Rossum previously was, a metaphor for how Joss views capitalism, as objectifying a lot of people while only benefiting those at the very top. The woman in the bikini and the shirtless men are objectified equally. If anything, this scene appeals to the female gaze, as the shirtless men are given much more prominence, as Joss has a history of doing with his shows. One such shirtless man is Ballard, sent in first as part of a raid along with Caroline Prime, who gets to kill this version of Ambrose. It's worth noting that Caroline's sadistic satisfaction in killing him is emphasized positively. We're supposed to appreciate Caroline getting to hurt this evil guy. It's worth noting this because feminists often describe Dollhouse as glorifying women's suffering, and give examples in which we're supposed to feel for the female victims and hate the male aggressors. Well, here's one of the few examples of positively depicted sadism, and it's about a woman hurting a man. A good woman hurting an evil man, as opposed to Priya hurting a rapist, or Caroline threatening Topher, the other few positively depicted sadism moments. Ballard and Caroline discover and rescue Topher, who was imprisoned and forced to build tech for Rossum. Ambrose wanted a device that could wipe everyone in the world, and every day Topher refused to work, he killed someone in front of him. Eventually, Topher started building it, but he was actually trying to instead build a device to return everyone to normal, though he couldn't quite figure it out. They take Topher and everyone else back to Safe Haven. Safe Haven is the paradise of this world, and everyone in it is at their best in a peaceful, communal way. Dell seems to have purged the villainy from her heart. She's now a caring, motherly figure. Priya is a literal mother of a boy named T, standing for Tony. She broke up with Anthony when they had a disagreement over the use of mind-altering tech, and she raises T as a single parent, but with the support of the other members of Safe Haven. It's got a very hippie commune vibe. They discuss Topher's plan and decide that they should give it their best effort. Topher, however, needs something from the LA Dollhouse, so they have to go back into the butcher-infested city. They enlist the help of the gang-like tech heads, ex-actives who have embraced Rossum tech in order to augment themselves to imitate the capabilities of Echo and Alpha, among them Anthony and Kilo. Mag expresses sexual interest in Kilo.
Little Asian's kind of cute.
She's a tech head, Mag. She's a girl, Mag.
The little Asian's also one of the writers, which says to me that she wasn't offended by fellow Epitaph Two writer Andrew Chambliss writing Topher condescend to her in the public eye. And that depiction of homosexuality is pretty cool. It's not played up for male sexual satisfaction like the Echo Whiskey kiss. Mag was previously built up as a cool female character in Epitaph 1, where her sexuality never came up. And now it's revealed she happens to be queer. Zone is surprised, but there's no big deal made over it. So everyone travels to LA, during which time folks have a moment to talk. Zone talks to Kilo, who's a powerful warrior who makes him nervous. Anthony and Priya talk about their relationship and how it still won't work because Anthony's with the tech heads. Caroline and Ballard also talk about their relationship, with Ballard acting as a therapist for Caroline, but Caroline refuses to open up to him. They've had sex a few times, but only in cases where Caroline thought they would die, and he wants her to be more open with her emotions and trust him. Caroline and Ballard's gender roles are effectively switched, similar to Buffy and Riley in Buffy Season 5. When they make it to the LA Rossum buildings, they have to fight through the Butchers to reach the Dollhouse. There's then an epic fight, consisting mainly of men being killed, in contrast to claims about everything being violence against women. Yeah, just look at those dramatic gun flashes as Caroline kills men. Mag's legs get shot, and then she's rescued by Ballard, but before you can say, "I'm a leaf on the wind," Ballard gets graphically killed in front of her. Guess what? No feminists complain about that one! I consider it equivalent to a refrigerator death, which I'll expand on later. This is clearly a very violent scene, and its focus is on destruction of the masculine, not the feminine. The surviving group members make it into the Rossum building and drop down into the dollhouse to find it clean, lit, and housing wiped actives.
I try to be my best.
Aw, hell.
After the events of Epitaph 1, Alpha took over. He's a good guy now, as Ballard Prime's personality affected him for the better. Some feminists really don't like that everyone forgives Alpha, probably because it reminds them of how men in real life are forgiven after they abuse women, and women are encouraged to forgive their abusers. But Alpha is not a normal guy. He's got this weird science fiction brain, and you can expect him to make these dramatic changes that people in the real world just can't. The tech heads decide that they don't want to fix the world because they like having power, and they try to take over. But Anthony, Alpha, and Caroline take them out. Priya and Caroline destroy their tech. Priya fumes about Anthony buying into tech head philosophy, causing Caroline to rant at her that Anthony is her perfect partner and how dare she disrespect him. But it becomes apparent that Caroline is really yelling at herself for not appreciating Ballard while he was alive, and she breaks down in tears. Let's be clear here. This isn't Bella breaking down when Edward breaks up with her. This is a strong woman expressing grief over the loss of a man she loved. That's fine. She's not a sociopath, and she shouldn't have to be one. Joss Whedon built this marvelous heroine with amazing powers, but she's still a recognizable person like the rest of us, with human weaknesses, and these weaknesses allow her to become an empowering figure. It also makes Ballard's death about making Caroline's storyline more dramatic, equivalent to Bennett and Topher. So this means he was stuffed in the refrigerator, right? Anyway, Topher goes to get what he needs, which turns out to be inspiration from being at home. He and Alpha start putting together the device. Topher gets information from a Rossum educational video performed by Bennett, keeping her kind of with the show in spirit and reminding us that she was smarter than Topher. However, as she is not there in person, she is still treated purely as an object for Topher to admire. As it turns out, Topher will have to kill himself when he activates the device. It'll be a sacrifice and point of redemption.
I didn't want to cause any more pain.
While he leaves harder responsibilities with Adele of getting the world back in order. People inside the dollhouse will be shielded from the pulse, and they decide which actives want to be wiped and go back to who they were, and who don't. Alpha and Caroline 2.0 decide to wipe themselves. Caroline Prime is sure Alpha can learn to be good again, and Zone agrees to take care of the little girl that'll remain from Caroline 2.0's absence. Anthony agrees to stay with Priya, who likes him now that he's given up the tech head lifestyle. They'll raise tea together now. Topher goes to Adele's office and sets off the pulse that'll heal the world, sacrificing himself to save everyone, making him Jesus.
What happened?
It's a long story, kid. Don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be all right.
Alpha leaves Caroline with the instructions to destroy all of the Rossum tech, but to start with the chair. It turns out that he left her a present, the imprint of Ballard Prime from A Love Supreme. Caroline imprints Ballard on herself, and she's allowed to live happily ever after with him in the Echo Collective. In fact, it ends with multiple romances. In addition to Ballard and Caroline, there's Anthony and Priya, and Mag seems ready to pursue Kilo, apparently having forgot about her trying to kill Topher. But it's all about violence against women, right? Caroline is finally free to rest and fall asleep, if only for a little while. And then it's over, at least until the graphic novel Midquel. I'm going to review that and some other Dollhouse items, and then I'm gonna post my concluding thoughts on the series.